In my hand, I hold what I think is the most improved running shoe of 2025, the Brooks Glycerin 22. It's got a few features that are pretty uncommon for an easy running shoe, and I'm wondering if the Glycerin has quietly thrown the running shoe industry for a massive loop. The Brooks Glycerin line, which is almost as old as I am, is not necessarily known to be flashy or cutting edge, but more dependable. And that's kind of the case for Brooks as a brand. They're function over form. We even made fun of them last year when they released another version of the Brooks Ghost that felt like the ghost of all the other ghosts before it.
It's the Brooks Ghost 16. Nah, I don't want to do it. It's a great shoe. Why would I review something that's barely changed in years?
So, when I heard a rumor last fall that the next Brooks Glycerin is going to be groundbreaking, different, even cool, I kind of just rolled my eyes. But there were signs that I was wrong to do so. All of it started in November when we attended the running event in Texas, and Brooks uncharacteristically had the nicest booth in the entire showroom. It was big, loud, blue and yellow, all in the theme of their most anticipated shoe launch of 2025, the Glycerin 22. So what's so special about it? It's not that it's overly light or flashy. Really, the magic is in the midsole. It's made out of a supercritical foam that's a lot more comfy and a lot more responsive than the foam from the Glycerin's past. In fact, the whole midsole is made out of what Brooks calls nitrogen-infused DNA-tuned foam. So it's a supercritical foam that Brooks uses in its workout shoes, like the Glycerin Max. And also like in the Max, this version of the Glycerin has dual cell technology. So basically these tiny little pods in the midsole that help absorb shock in the heel and then propel you forward at the toe. So it's fast running shoe technology infused inside of an everyday trainer. And while we're slowly starting to see other brands doing that as well, the norm is still to keep that supercritical foam for racing shoes and workout shoes, and then have brands just put regular old EVA foam in their daily trainers. So with the Glycerin 22, Brooks is somewhat forcing other companies to keep up and improve their easy running shoe game. So we're gonna take this outside for a wear test in a second, but first let's quickly go over some specs. Size and weight-wise, the Glycerin 22 is pretty average for an easy running shoe of today, but it's nothing like its predecessor, the Glycerin 21. In fact, it's a whole different shoe. It's half an ounce heavier and also 10 millimeters taller. Now, the Glycerin 21, even last year, was a bit of an outlier with how pared down it was at the midsole, but we're way taller here. In fact, the 21 and 22 are so different that it almost makes more sense to compare the 22 with the Brooks Glycerin Max, their fancy super trainer that came out last fall, which actually almost has the same weight and midsole as the 22. And for the record, I really like the Glycerin Max for workouts, like more than I expected to. I took it for a tempo run in Central Park back in the fall, and it was a lot faster than I expected it to be. And at the same time, I wondered what an easy running version of the Glycerin Max would be like. So I became excited to try the Glycerin 22. Okay, on to the wear test.
I like these. I really, really like these. I'm typecasting the Glycerins as my post-workout day shoe because I think they are a huge step up from the 21s. They have this type of foam that's DNA tuned that you would find in a super shoe and not so much in an easy running shoe. And I think the Glycerin 22s are some gateway to the future because they're one of the first flagship easy running shoe to include supercritical foam in the midsole, and you feel it. And the result is that they have a good amount of bounce and responsiveness. They're not just like dead easy running shoes. They have some bounce, but also they're not workout shoes in that they don't spring you on your toes, which is something you don't want on an easy running day. So it's like the best of a super shoe or the best of a workout shoe in responsiveness, but also a ton of cushioning. It's awesome for recovery. Okay, I'm a fan. This is much better than the 21s. Home run by Brooks here. Okay, I'm in the way. We're gonna turn around.
So my runs in the Glycerin 22 confirmed it. It is nothing like the Glycerin 21, and it's a lot more like the Glycerin Max. It's like the Glycerin Max without much of a rock-forward profile. It's got more of a lockdown heel and maybe more flexible of a forefoot, so you're less likely to go boom right on your toes. It makes easy running a lot more normal feeling. And after testing it out, I stand behind the idea that this is Brooks's warning shot to other brands, saying if you don't make easy running shoes with supercritical foam in the next couple of years, you will fall behind. Because this is what's happening. This version of the Glycerin is kind of ruining other easy running shoes for me. Like, I'm not that interested in running in a pair of Glycerin 21s anymore because they're not as responsive, they're not as comfortable, they're not as easy on the joints as this version. And I suspect that's what's going to happen when I start comparing the 22 to other shoes with no supercritical foam. And there's a drawback to this type of improvement. Of course, the Glycerin 22s are a little bit more pricey than your average shoe, but I think that's warranted. Better materials, higher price. So you kind of get what you pay for. So are the Glycerins 22 for you? When making the decision, consider this. You might enjoy them if you're someone who likes cushy running shoes on recovery days that might even do a little bit of the work for you. Also, if you're someone who doesn't mind running on shoes that have a pretty tall platform, 38 millimeters for an easy running shoe is maybe on the high end. And also if you value comfort in a running shoe, these are nice to put on. Not only are they comfortable to land on, but they're a nice little cradle for the entire foot. I don't think you can get a blister in these shoes. I don't think it's possible. Meanwhile, you might want to stay away from the Glycerin 22 if you're trying to save money. Also, if you're not a fan of huge heel to toe drops, 10 millimeter isn't huge, but it is substantial. And also, if you like to feel the ground under you, these are not the shoes for you. You are on a hefty cushion. And if you like this video or found it informative or entertaining, please feel free to share it with a friend who might think the same. And I'll ask you to do a second thing. If you think there's a shoe that has improved more between 2024 and 2025 than the Glycerin 22, let us know in the comments. I dare you to find one.